What is going on? Thank y'all so much for tuning into another episode of Beyond the Hustle. I am your MC,
We're
Daniel
back.
Tatamy, and join with me, as always, is serial entrepreneur himself, Mr. Paul Rene Jr. What is going on? What is going on? This is episode 7, and tonight we will be talking about budget strategies for entrepreneurs, man, because everybody like that money, Paul, man. Everybody like that money.
Definitely, man. We're
Everybody like that
back,
money.
man. What's up, Daniel? You ready for Turkey
What's
Day?
going on, man? Dude, I think I told you before. I don't know if I've told you before or not, but Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. Have I told you that before?
Yeah, you told me. You told me.
Yeah, yeah. To
You
me,
did
it's
tell
like
me.
the only real holiday. Everything else,
Yeah.
in my opinion, is fake. Thanksgiving is the only real holiday because it embodies two of the best things in life, and that's food and family. And what's better than
Oh
food
yeah.
and family, Paul?
Uh, Being able to dress up as a costume and walking around town in your favorite character. I like Halloween, but
Yeah.
number two on my list. Oh yeah, I like Halloween. I like taking the kids out and seeing everybody dress
Uh,
up and all the activities that's out there. It's much more of of a social gathering. It has a whole community involved.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, but you are right when it comes down to family. It's nothing like getting a family together, family and friends together than
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. So.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They had the gathering. Speaking of gatherings, did you hear about they had the classic? Was it a classic here down here in Orlando this past weekend? I don't know if it's
I'm
a
not
classic
sure.
or whatever it was.
I don't stay on top of sports, man. I stay away from sports.
I don't know what was going on here downtown in Orlando, but I don't know if they started shooting or something was going on, bro. I seen a video online where it was just
Wow,
like a
recently?
crowd. Yeah, it was like this past weekend. Either this week or last weekend or something like that. I don't remember what happened. I didn't research the story, but I just seen a lot of stuff like that going on online. Like just groups of black people and they was like running or doing something, man. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know what they were doing. But dude, so we were talking a little bit about it. We were trying to discuss, what we were gonna cover tonight as
Yeah.
a podcast topic. And something that I've been going through, personally to me, this topic is kind of personal to me because it's something that I've been working on, and that is budgeting, bro. Getting
Yeah.
them finances where they need to be. And what made me think about it, I was praying, and I go into my own brain. I just start talking to myself, and I was just saying, like, sometimes we don't need more money. A lot of times we just need to improve our relationship with money. And that's something that I heard a lot about online. People were just saying that, when it comes to, I'll speak to the black community, our relationship with money is not always the best because we look at money from a consumeristic standpoint. And money is not to be looked at that way. In my opinion, I believe money is, and we talked about it before, money being a resource, being
Hmm.
an avenue for certain things. And it should be looked at as an investment tool in anything, right? In anything, all the way down from buying the Snickers, buying a piece of candy, gassing up the car, anything that you do, clothes shopping for yourself, for your family, everything that you do with your money, it is an investment. You're investing in something, right? Whether that investment is positive or negative, that's, on the individual to determine. But that's what you're doing with your money. You're essentially, damn, I'm totally butchering that word, investing it, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's ideal that that's what we're going to be wanting to do with our money, but a lot of people don't really use their money in an investment purpose. A lot of people mishandle money. I've
Right.
seen situations where people have won the lottery,
Mm,
won major lawsuits, cash settlements,
mm,
inherited money. So their parents' property, inherited money
right.
from the hundreds of thousands to the millions, and then next year it's all gone. Um, that's not because they were investing their, doing what they were supposed to do with investing their money. Budgeting, though, and I'm gonna get to the point of what is money. Okay, that's what people
What is
should.
money?
Yeah, what is money? I want to get to that point, right? But I'm gonna get there later because we've wanted to talk about budgeting. Okay,
Right, right.
um, because you said that's a problem for you directly. There's a book that I read that confirmed my belief
Hmm.
on budgeting, right?
Confirm your
Uh,
belief.
yeah, because so what happens in my life, right,
Uh,
is I don't go off of books in general. I think one of the first books that kind of catapult me, or I say two books that come off of the top of my head that kind of catapult me and help direct me
hmm.
into the way that I wanted to go in life was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert
Hmm.
Kiyosaki,
Yep.
which allowed me to figure out what it is that I want for myself. All right, read that
Hmm.
book and you'll get what I'm saying. How do I see my life playing out? Um, do I just want to get up every day into this routine of working, you know, coming back home, sleep, doing all over again, right? Or
Right.
do I want to be and that's an employee quadrant, right? Rich Dad Poor Dad talks about four different quadrants. There's an employee quadrant, um, if I'm not mistaken. Then there's a investor quadrant, uh, a business owner quadrant, and then a self-employment quadrant. Now I might be getting it all wrong, right? Because it was
Right.
years since I read that book. I read that book when I was like 19 years old. Okay, um, before I joined the military, I read it, and that was kind of reason that the military was. It opened my eyes to that the military wasn't like the right fit for me
Mm.
long term because I knew I wanted to be a business owner slash investor. I wanted to be in that quadrant. Okay, either the business, both quadrants, the business owner and the investor quadrant. Um, and so I couldn't fulfill that being in the military where I was in the E quadrant, the employee
Yeah.
quadrant, right? So yeah, that book helped direct me. Then there was Chicken Soul to the Soup by I think it was Robert Candy, if I'm not mistaken. Uh,
Chicken soup for the
which
soul.
Chicken Soup for Soul? Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Another book, years. I talk about years ago. This is like,
Yeah.
and that one helped me visualize my goals and write it down. And it taught me how the importance of putting down your goals on paper
Yep.
and then seeing it fulfilled. And I kid you not, I did see everything that I put down on paper manifest itself. And I wish I dreamt bigger, and I wish I had bigger goals because I could imagine what happened. So yeah, those two books um, catapulted me. But the third book, uh, which so those two books directed me, helped direct and guide me. All the other books and everything else that I seen from podcasts to listening to mentors, and it kind of just reassured me of
Hmm.
my way of life, my philosophy, my thinking, right? Like, oh, okay, so I am on the right track because this successful person is acknowledging that this is the right way to go about it.
Right.
And so that was the richest man in Babylon, right? That took me off,
Mm.
helped me take off because it was a book that helped me understand that the way that I'm budgeting is solid. It's the way to go. And then I started helping and teaching people to do the same. And it's probably a concept that everybody knows when it comes down to budgeting. You wanna be able to um, separate your necessities, right? Know what all your monthly expenses are
Right.
going to be, and put that to the side, right? Um, Some people do 60%. Some people, some people do 50%. But yeah. Oksana asked, did I say richest man in Babylon? Yes, that's what it is. But what's most important is how much are you going to pay yourself?
Right.
Okay. So you're going to have bills, you're going to have things that you want. But what is most important is that you pay yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else you're paying, once you receive money, you paying everybody else. You working hard for this money to get rid of it to pay someone else, right? You're not really benefiting from that. What you
Mm-hmm.
should do is once you get paid, is to pay yourself immediately first. So, and I say at minimum 10%. That's where tithing comes from, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily supposed to be for the church as when it comes to monetary value. All right, now we can debate about it all we want,
I was about to say
but
you going down that one.
yeah, yeah, we could debate about it all we want, but from my perspective,
Right.
tithing from the church isn't about money. It's about giving extra of whatever you have. For example, if you have extra clothes, if you have extra, like tithing was supposed to be for like when farms used to have surplus of items
Mm-hmm.
that you're a corn farmer. You have so much of corn that you need, and it's to an abundance that you give it to the storehouse, you give it to the church, so that
Right.
now the church can give it to the people who aren't as lucky as you, aren't as who doesn't have that abundance as you, and need that food in order to nourish them and get through it. So now if everyone in the community is over here giving a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
of the extra that they have, then there shouldn't be anybody that really doesn't have any. And so basically, you're supposed to be giving to the storehouse so that the storehouse can give to the people. Now, when you're talking about in today's society, when it comes to tithing, you're giving to the church so that the church could grow and pay for the pastor and all that. It really doesn't come back to the people.
To the people,
Okay,
hardly ever.
right. As just think about as much. Just think about all the years, because I know a lot of people who are listening. Just think about all the years that you tithe in church. And I'm not against churches. Pastors need to get paid. People need to get paid. But I'm
Yeah.
just talking about
Yeah.
the principle behind it, right? Like,
Yeah.
all those years that you've tithe, you didn't get anything back. What's the return of that investment? Just because they say, yeah, you're giving it to God or whatever. No, God doesn't need money. Yeah, I think he
Right.
he's straight, right?
People need money. The building needs
Yes,
money.
the reality. Exactly. So
Yeah.
the church lights need to be kept on, and it's
Right.
cool for the people to be able to help. And if the pastor is providing you with that service of motivation, and redemption, and resolution of whatever problems, pay the man, for his service. Okay, but technically tithing is supposed to be in order to give back to the community, so the community to be able to receive what the community had given to the storehouse. But tithing is supposed to be for yourself, at least 10%. I go 30-20%, okay, if I can, which means
20 to 30
uh,
percent as far as like from
yeah.
your income paying yourself.
So if I get paid $100, I pay myself $30,
I want
right?
to say that that is probably the biggest thing people are not doing. I think that even from the entrepreneur business owner, I think that's the number one thing they are not doing.
Mhm.
When they get that paycheck, when people get that paycheck, or they get paid for a service that they do, that they provide, or a product or something like that, they're not paying themselves. They're taking care of expenses. They're giving money back to the company, which those are things that you should do. But that's what comes to. And it's funny that you actually mentioned the first points that I had here, which was identifying essential, what is essential for the business, identifying those things, when it comes to developing a financial or a budget strategy for your business. Um, and then prioritizing your spending. So many times, oftentimes, that was something that I had to learn, and I've been doing it for the past, few years. Whenever I get paid or whatever service, whenever I'm budgeting the service out to clients, okay, how much do I want to get paid for this service? How much do I want to get paid from this job? Right. And then that
Yeah.
helps me, that's something I consider when I'm creating the budget. If I'm working, right, when I get paid, okay, how much do I want to get paid? Or I'm taking out when I want to get paid off top, right? And then a set amount goes to the expenses, a set amount goes to saving, or a set amount goes to investing, and then we move it from there. But I'm taking mine off top,
Yeah.
because
So,
taxes is taking
so
theirs.
yeah, so paying yourself first is the saving, is the investing.
Right,
That's what that is.
right.
Um, again, at minimum 10%, because you might not be able to play with the money as far as, let's say you like dealing with stocks or whatever type of investment vehicles they are, right?
Right, right,
That you should know about, that you should be familiar with, not because someone else says for you
right,
to
right.
invest in. So you probably want to increase that paying yourself so that you can play, with those investment vehicles, make your money
Got you,
work
got
for
you.
you. Okay, but you got to know what your bills are. You got to know what your expenses are for the
Right.
month, right? So, um, you make sure you put that percentage aside for your bills. You also need to, you always want need or not need, but you also want to be able to spend money on the things that you need and want in life. To enjoy yourself, entertainment.
Mm,
Why work all this time a week and you can't even benefit from the fruits of your labor? That sucks to not be able to do that, right? You probably
yeah.
see a watch that you like, a shirt that you like, maybe some comic books, video games, whatever the case might be. You want to be able to spend after your, hard work, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with being able to spend for the things that you want, but you don't want to take that out of um, uh, your paying yourself. That's a account that you just don't touch at
Mm,
all. All right. Unless you know what you're going to do with it as far as investing in it. All right.
right.
That's that money that you want to turn that $100 that you put aside to $200 to $300. You have to know that everybody has their own intelligence on what kind of investment would work for them. There's millions of ways to make money out there, millions. All right, so you just got to know what works for you. As for me, I like real estate. Okay, so I'll put my money aside and save until I could buy some money, I mean, not money, some property, whether it's land, whether it's something that I can rehab or commercial, whatever the case might be, but it's usually related to real estate. Now, because I am able to pay myself more, then I could dibble and dabble in other things like Bitcoins or stock market as well, because I'm knowledgeable in those things. It really doesn't give me as much of a return as real estate does,
Right.
uh, but still, what you find is that you're never broke when you do that. Okay, and it changes your
Mm,
belief, it changes your mentality on it. You don't touch it. That's the whole point. It's the discipline behind it. All right, you don't touch it, and you don't invest it in things that somebody else is telling you about. All right,
mm,
uh, a guy can come to me and say, "Hey, um, you should invest in this stock, and because I heard that the a new president's coming in, is going to catapult and everything." I'm not going to touch it, right? Because I don't
mm.
know anything about it. I didn't do
Right,
my investment.
right.
Okay.
Your due
Um,
diligence.
Right, and this is a reason why a lot of people lose their life savings dealing with stocks and markets
Mm,
and things like that, because they're relying on someone else's knowledge on what they should do with the money that they have saved, and that to me is not a good idea. You want to be in
that
control of your spending. Go ahead.
that reminds me of the movie Boiler Room. You remember that movie?
Refresh me.
It was with Was it with Vin Diesel? I think it was early Vin Diesel. and it was called Boiler Room because they worked for a company. They worked for a stock brokerage, and they would call people and get them to buy these stocks. And people were losing their life savings, millions upon millions of dollars. They was driving into these stocks that weren't giving out back payouts. They weren't doing dividends, anything like that. They was just stealing people money, basically. And it reminded me of that
Mm.
because people were saying, "Oh my gosh, this was my retirement. This was my life savings." And I gave you this money, you invested it. Well, supposed to have invested it, and they didn't. They were just really stealing people money, just making these brokers rich. But that makes a
Yeah,
lot of
that goes on
sense.
all the time. Dude, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
it happens to
crazy.
all these celebrities and athletes. They're not trained or taught financial responsibility, and they're making
Mm-hmm.
millions of dollars. Next to you know, they're paying lawyers, they're paying accountants, they're paying people who are taking advantage of their lack of financial intelligence, and then
Mm.
they're broke after they're not collecting that money, or they're telling them, "Hey, you should invest in this." They're listening to DJ Envy, and then they're buying real estate that don't even work and stuff like that, right? So you got to be careful out there. Don't listen to
Yeah,
these people. You got
yeah,
to do your own due diligence, do your own research, know from what you have studied, what the return of your investment is going to be. But the trick of the matter is not to touch it at all, even if you're broke. Okay, even if you're
mm.
broke, you don't touch it. Now, another reason why I like investing, or paying myself a higher sum of money and keeping
Right.
my bills and expenses and liability, is because now you've created, because the 10% is minimum, but that 20%, right, I can borrow from. I don't have to go to a bank in order to, you know, get some money. I can just
Right.
borrow from myself. From that, that's kind of like my own bank, in other words. So I'll give you just the numbers, right? If I'm
Right.
investing 30%, if I make 100,000 a year I paid myself 30 grand, right?
Right.
And towards the end of the year, I'm strapped for cash. I can borrow off of that 30 grand.
Mm.
Okay, so that's how it works. You're never broke, in other words. And then, of course, the number one rule in business is make money. You got to keep making money, though, okay? Because that's the whole point of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
To have something to be able to you know get a loan from. Okay, so
Right.
so yeah, that's the concept that I was reassured, and I was already doing it. I was already
Right.
putting money aside, saving it, and then investing in real estate. And then it was like, oh snap! So there is a this is the way to do it then, And so then
Yeah.
so I started
Yeah.
teaching people, started paying myself more, and then of course trying to decrease the amount of expenses I have monthly so I can pay myself more, and then do things that I like to do with my family and everything. That's what budgeting is all about, though. Really,
I
is being disciplined enough not to touch your money and use it for what you've planned on it. Because without a plan, where are you really going? You just
that's
showing up to work and making and collecting this money and not knowing what to do with it. You just whatever the wind blows, whoever's sending you a invoice to pay whatever bill, then you're paying it,
yeah.
and then next thing you know, you're like, oh, I'm broke, I'm gone. I'm out without money. And money is a big issue when it comes to relationships, right? So
Right.
you have families to take care of, you have a spouse to take care of. The majority of relationships fail because of financial problems. The budgeting isn't there, right? A lot of times you'll find either the woman, in a relationship is strong in saving and holding it, or it's the man who's strong in saving, but they have to bump heads because the man who isn't good into savings wants to take out the other savings to buy this and that, or vice versa. The woman who isn't good in savings wants to take from the savings in order to pay for X, Y, and Z. Buy things that's not necessary for the kids. Buy things that's not necessary for the house,
Right.
etc. They're touching that forbidden account. When that forbidden account, as it teaches in the book, is supposed to bear its own fruits, right? You're
Mm.
supposed to turn that $100 that you put in there into $200 and still not eat off of that $100 that you done made. You're supposed to make it make more fruit, make it make more fruit, and then once that tree is healthy and enough to make so much fruit that it's falling on the floor, now you can eat. You get
Now
what
you
I'm
can
saying?
eat
Yeah, now you can
once
eat.
it's did its returning thing. I
Correct.
you said something that was pretty dope, uh, which was it to me. It just pointed just straight to the habits when it comes to not touching it, the discipline and the habits. And so how do you recommend changing that mindset? As Oksana put that in the chat. So one of the things that helped me when it came to that mindset was intentionality and getting to where you want to get to. There has to be a lot of times, and this is my thing when it comes to the self-help stuff, or I'm sorry, not the help stuff, but the motivational and those type of things. A lot of times when it comes to getting to where you want to get to, you have to know and be confident in what you're doing to say, hey, listen, if I want to get to whatever the end goal is, right? There are real strategy, there's real steps, there is a real way of getting there. There's an intention. You have to be intentional about what you're doing with your finances, intentional about what you're doing with your time to get to where you want to get to. You know, it doesn't just come because we want it, right? We don't just get there
Yeah.
because we want it and because we're trying and we're hoping for that opportunity, because we hear a lot of stories and people tell us a lot of stories about an opportunity that just came to them, right? Yes, things do come to people, right? I'm not saying opportunities don't come and people don't come knocking at your door, but you make before that happens, right? And in order that just came, it didn't just come, right? And I know when we hear people's stories, we think that that's how it happens, but that's not how it happened. That person was intentional with their time, intentional with their day, intentional with their finances, whatever it is you want to get to. You have to be intentional, and it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of discipline, right? It's just like if you want to get yourself in shape. And when we had the guest on, your friend Paul that came on, and he's
Yeah,
talking about
Andre.
going to the right and talk about getting in shape and going to the gym. There are things that you have to do. That's years of discipline, right? You don't just
Oh
get
yeah.
in shape out of nowhere. It takes time to do those things. You got to break those bad habits and bring in new habits. And it takes time to break bad habits, and it takes time to bring in new habits. So all of that. So when it comes to changing the mindset, it's that in itself is a discipline. That in itself is intentional. It takes time. If you want to get to where you want to get to, first there's a realization that you're not going to get to it doing what you're doing. You have to do something and you have to want it. You have to truly want it. And then when it comes to, I was going to do a post about this and I didn't do it. I probably may do it now that we're having a conversation about it, but I wanted to make sure I worded it properly when it came to the relationship that we have with money. I was talking to my younger brother about that. And a lot of times, what I was just saying here earlier before, when it comes to the finances, everything that we do has to me, right? I'm not saying that a person has to adopt this mindset, but something that you can identify with. For me, it was everything that you spend with money, treat it like it's an investment. Right now, there's even when you play and you're having fun with money and things you want to get, that's still an investment. You're investing in the entertainment factor. You're investing in if you take your spouse, your wife, or your girlfriend out on a date, you take your family out, you're investing in that enjoyment time, right? You're investing in that memory, right? So for me, that's how I decided to look at it. Like everything that comes to my finances is all I'm investing in something. Is this a good investment? Is it a positive investment? Do I need this investment? What's the return? Um, and I'll just say this really quick before I get to the next point, right? I was talking to one of
Mm-hmm.
my friends, this young guy. He was asking me, he was like, Daniel, man, he said, should I talk to this girl? Right. And she told him that she wasn't ready for a relationship. She didn't want it. Right. And that she wasn't fit to be in a relationship at the moment. And he's like, Daniel, should I talk to her? I said, dude, and he's like 22 years old, right? So we can all remember if you're over the age of 22, I'm 39 and I remember being 22 and you just feel like you're invincible. You have all the time in the world, right? And I told him, I said, dude, you might not get this now. I said, but everything that you do at this age, it's an investment, right? She already told you what she wanted to do. She already gave you her answer. Now, if you want to just have fun, you just want to go out and hang out with someone, all right, cool. I said, but don't waste your time there, bro, because wherever you want to get to as an end goal when it comes to relationship, dealing with her is not going to get you there clearly. Or it may down the line if you feel like that's worth your time, but you have to decide if you want to invest there. And that's literally how I simplified my life at this juncture. Everything is an investment. Even us having this podcast and doing this conversation, it's an investment, right? Um, but I wanted to talk to you, and you kind of alluded to it, right? When it comes to managing cash flow, right? Because a lot of times you hear, you know, I talk to, I have a friend that's he's making money in his company. He's making his money right now in his company, and there's a he has this cash flow, and at the moment it seems endless, right? Because the clientele is there, the return on the investments are coming, and I always tell him, I'm
Okay.
like, listen, make sure you're taking out what it costs you to produce that product. And I asked him, how much does it cost to produce the product? How much do you want to make your salary? I said, because you're seeing all this cash flow, right? You're seeing all this cash flow, and the hope is that it won't dry up. But then you don't get to really see any growth or scaling because you're not prioritizing or you're not managing that cash flow properly. You're just taking the money, you're buying new product, and then you go, okay, now what did you get all this cash flow for? Then now the money doesn't, you're like, you're making all this money, but you're not keeping any of it. So now it feels like you're not making anything. So I just want to hear what you think about that when it comes to managing the cash flow that we're getting. Is that still in line with the budgeting, you would say?
Well, yeah, cash flow uh, is still in line with the budgeting, but you always want to have positive cash flow. Okay,
Mm,
meaning like after the budgeting and everything, you're in the green, you're not in the red. All right, after you finish paying off all your bills, you're in the green, you're not in the red. And so what the whole point though, um, is not to just save it or for people to make money and then say, okay, I'm gonna hoard it, I'm gonna put it to the side. The whole point is to make money for you. All
right.
right, so that when you're at a level of comfort, you don't have to be doing anything. That's you're making your money work for you. That's another entity right there that's generating income for you. So
That's
instead of
another
it just
level,
being
Paul.
you, yeah, instead of it just being you making money, now your money's making money, and that's where investing comes in, and there's so many different investment vehicles for it. But cash flow is you always want to be in the positive when it comes to cash flow, meaning you don't want to have more bills coming in that your bills don't should not be higher than what your income is. Okay,
Mm,
uh, negative cash flow, and then there's positive cash flow. All right, but budgeting is important, man, because it helps maintain relationships. You want to be the type of person that um, your spouse or significant other sees as responsible. Your family sees as responsible. Because there's people out there who uh, have lost trust from their family because all they're doing is like borrowing money from them. Hey, let me borrow. Can I borrow money? Can I borrow money?
yeah.
And you're not. There's no. So now you're tarnishing the relationship with even with your friends and your family from bad management of money.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, one of the best solutions of money is always making more money. All right, that solves a lot of people's problems. But what we
Make more
want to
money.
do is, yeah, what happens is though, Daniel, right? And I see this all the time, and I was a victim of it myself. Is the upbringing, right? The upbringing
Mm,
and the concept that we have about money. Okay, in order to be successful in this game of money, you have to have the right beliefs. Because that's what it all stems down to, man, is your thoughts. Everything starts here. We're the transmitters and conductors of energy that goes on. You know, and so if you're transmitting um, uh, negative energy about money, how are you going to be productive? How are you going to be positive? What do I mean by that? What do I mean by negative energy? Well, what are some of the things that we're told about when it comes to money and people who have money?
Give it, help people out with it. That's one of the big. That's the first thing that came to my mind when you said that.
Well, let's say a negative, I would say a negative concept. Like, for example, I hear a lot. This is like one of the top 10, you know, reactions or response that people give about money. Well,
Okay.
I don't need that much money. I just need enough money to pay my bills
Oh
and
my gosh, Paul.
right. All I need. You know what? I don't need to be rich. I don't need it. Rich, it doesn't mean everything. Money isn't everything. I don't need to be rich. All I need is, to be able to pay for my bills. And you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're putting that out there, right?
Yeah.
Whether or not you want to believe in the law of attraction or whatever, our mind, the way we think, the words that we speak, they all have an effect on the outcome that we create for ourselves, right?
Right.
Um, and that's all we are. We are creators in this world, and we get that opportunity to create the life that we want. And if we're creating just by our thought, everything happens in this dimension that we can't see, right? And that's our thought process. And that's why I was mentioning, chicken soup for the soul taught me how to bring what is in the mind to the physical world by putting it down on paper. And then you putting it down on paper, and now you're out there doing what um, wrote down on paper. It's like it's wizardry, man. And this is where it all comes from. For real, all that belief. It's being able. That's why the Vatican has miles of scrolls and documents and teachings, locked in the Vatican, because there's something about putting it down on paper. There's something about writing it, right? Why are they
Mm.
confiscating all these documents if it doesn't have some type of magic to it? Right? It's something about taking what's in the brain and putting it down on paper, and into the physical plane. So that's what people are doing. They're creating their own reality when they say, I don't need I don't much money. I just need enough to pay my bill. Okay, well then more
God,
than likely
stop.
you're just gonna have a 9 to 5 job that's gonna allow that to happen, right? Another thing is, rich people are greedy. They're
Oh my
greedy,
gosh, bro. Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
don't want to be,
Yeah.
because rich people are greedy, and that's false, because majority of all the charities are funded from people with money.
People with money.
I mean, every charity, majority of the time, I'd say a good high percentage. I'm not gonna say everyone, but they're funded
Yeah.
by people with money. All
Yeah.
the the gyms, the museums, the Dr. Phillipses all over the place, right?
Yeah.
It's people with money that are helping to make the community better, the infrastructure better. Um, so that's a negative concept. So people think that money is the root of all evil,
The love
right?
of money. That's the scripture, bro.
Yeah, but even the scripture, I'm not gonna go there. All right, but it doesn't mean that it's true. Maybe there's something lost in translation, I should say, right?
That's why I
Because
said it wasn't people. That scripture has been so manipulated to where it's like
right,
money or a bunch of money is it. No, it's like the love of money, right? You don't have to just because a person wants money or is rich or extremely rich or a billionaire, it doesn't mean that that's the root of all evil. And I think that that's why I said that, because it's not having the money that's the problem. It's the love of it that's the
Daniel,
problem.
majority of robberies, majority of murders, and all that stuff is because people lack money.
Yeah.
It's not because they have money. Okay, it's the lack of money that's the root of all evil. All right, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
It's a loss of
Yeah.
translation, man, because majority
Yeah.
of all the positive things that's going on, the Elon Musks that's out there trying to save the world, and do everything is because of money. The
Yeah.
robberies, what you see on the news, the killings, the frauding of people, the scams of
Yeah.
people. That's the root of evil, is because people are lacking money. They're lacking how to attain it, and what to do when they do attain it. They're lacking the financial literacy part of it. So that needs to change. Is the people's belief that needs to change. Um, you know, People
That's
think they have to sacrifice a lot to be wealthy, and that's not all. It's just you need to know financial literacy, and it's not a lot. It's usually as simple as what I'm telling you about putting and paying yourself first. Okay. The people that you hang around, the influence, they might have
yeah.
that same concept. You don't want to. They don't. People don't want to be wealthy because they're afraid of what their friends might think, their family might think. All right,
And
because they've already been raised to think that money is evil. So now what? If I get money, I'm gonna be evil, right? So go ahead. You're gonna say something.
that's why this conversation is so important, Paul. That's why this conversation is so important because we've said it before. A lot of times when it comes to being in a capitalistic society, being in America, starting a business, having a business, you do that because of the revenue that's out there that's possible for you that a normal or regular 9 to 5 cannot, will not get you, right? And you can use the 9 to 5 through budgeting, right? Proper budgeting habits, financial habits, to catapult you to where you want to get to, right? But ultimately, what's really gonna set you apart and really gonna put you in that, you know, off to the side, able to take care of your family, yourself, retirement, and your future is going to be what that business is able to do for you. Now, not everyone, I'm not saying that everybody should run out and go into business. No, if you're able to budget and manage what you have and you're able to invest properly, yeah, you can set yourself up pretty nicely for retirement. That's
Yeah,
possible, right?
there's a lot of jobs that pay good that you can
Yeah,
be able to save, put to the
yeah.
side money, and invest in it. So
Mm-hmm.
that the whole point is for you to make money on itself. All right. So even
Right.
though you're working at 9 to 5, you're doing what you need to do to budget. You're paying yourself first, and you're finding whatever investment vehicle works for you. That's gonna
Mm-hmm.
make whatever you paid yourself make seeds, make fruit that's gonna put out seeds. That way you can end up eating from your investment. All right. A lot of people think um, you know you shouldn't have more money than you need, right? You shouldn't have more money. There's people out there that need it. I shouldn't have. When that's a lack, that's another belief that needs to change. That means a lack. Okay.
I don't even know what that means, Paul, if we're
Look,
being honest.
like they don't want to be wealthy. People don't want to be rich. They don't want to have more money than what they need. When that goes against, we're talking about money being the root of all evil. The lack of money is the root of all evil, because everything in nature, everything, all the greatest men in the Bible or whatever were wealthy. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Everything in nature is abundance. Okay, everything in nature is abundance.
right.
You plant a good apple tree, you're gonna have more apples than you need. All right.
That's true. That's true.
You have a lot of apples. What are you gonna do?
You can keep some. You got enough for yourself to eat from, and then you can also help and give to people with it too.
You can make apple juice. You can
Yeah,
make you can make freaking apple cider. You can sell it. There's so much things. That's what nature intended you to do. When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, right?
that's true.
That's
Yeah.
the whole point. You can do so much things with the abundance that nature has given you. That's why
Mm.
if you look at it as in nature, you look at it in business, it's a philosophy thing, man. The more you get, the more you can do. That's why
Yeah.
people who have more are able to give more. All
Able to
right.
do
People who
more.
don't have, yeah, people who don't have, or people who don't understand the concept that money isn't supposed to be held or stored. It's supposed
Mm.
to be move. That's why they call it currency. What's like a current? The rivers, right? The rivers aren't. The ocean isn't stagnant. It's constantly moving, right? And it's the people that win the lottery that made it big off of Bitcoin, that made it big off of GameStop, right? Who don't understand the financial literacy about money and the purpose of it, that
Yeah.
end up wanting to store it and hold on to it because they don't know what to do with it, right? They don't know, and then they listen to someone and make the wrong investment, or they just watch it dwindle away from all their spendings, a year or two
Yeah.
years later down because it's gone. All right, so you got to change your concept of money into a healthier concept. So like what are
Mindset
some
shifting.
yeah. So money results from providing value to the world. What is money?
What is
Okay,
money?
that's the point. Yeah, that's the point that we talked about earlier. Right? What is money? Okay, and this is probably goes over people's head, but money is there's nothing evil about it. All right, money
Right.
is the exchange of energy. That's what money is. It's the exchange of energy, and it could be anything. Okay, it could be anything. Money doesn't. A piece of paper, it means nothing,
Right.
right? The dollar
Yeah.
bill, that means nothing. But what does it represent? It means that I did something,
Uh-huh.
right, for me to be able to obtain this piece of paper, and now I'm giving it to you because you're doing something for me, right?
Right.
That's what it is. It's all it is exchange of energy. It could be gold coins, it could be metal, it could be silver, it could be glass, it could be whatever. It could be bartering. That's all it is. It's a barter system. It's here. I did this. Here's my energy of what I did, and now I'm passing it over to you. It's currency. It's energy.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so energy is not supposed to be blocked up and held. See that's not abundance, man. That's not nature, right? You have to act like
Mm.
and understand that it's a flow, it's an energy. Okay. Now, when you're doing it irresponsibly and you're spending irresponsibly, you're gonna have problems. So you always want to
Yeah.
be responsible,
Yeah.
and that's where budgeting comes in, right? Budgeting allows you to have a plan on how you're gonna be moving your money and how you're gonna keep that currency flowing.
And
Okay, but that's
and
what it is.
and everything when it comes to it made me think of Financial Peace University. Every penny has a job, and that's the way he explained it in the course. Dave Ramsey explained in the course how everything that you get, all the money that you get, it all has a job to do. Everything has a job to do. And one of the
Right.
things, and then I wanted to go really quick into the common financial pitfalls and how to avoid them, right? But before I go into that, what he said was, and kind of what helped me understand that when it came to having that budget, he said a bill collector had called him, right? And him and his wife had said, and he was $1 million in debt, which was crazy. Almost ruined his marriage and everything like that. Him and his wife, they were $1 million in debt. But he was saying that, when they were climbing out of that, he said he made a budget, right? And whenever he got paid, the things they had to pay, once they crossed that line, right? He put on a piece of paper everything he had to pay, and then how much money they had. And whatever didn't make it to the bottom of that page, to that line where they put a line through the paper, didn't get paid. He said, we don't have the money, right? So he said the bill collectors will call him and, hey, are you going to make a payment? He's like, no, I don't have the money. Like, there's a line of all my money that I have, and you didn't make it. The money's not there to pay you, you know? And after everything is done, right? And this is the way I do it too. After everything is done, whenever, the money has its place it has to go to, whatever it can't get to at that moment, that week or whatever, however, your pay cycle may go, whatever doesn't make it, it doesn't make it there. Like you said, you don't touch that savings. You don't touch whatever you're going to invest. You don't touch that piece of money. It's just not there until something else until you get paid again, until cash comes in again. Then you can handle all that. But once you get there, bro, that's it. And like you said, if there's something that you want to do, you could take it. I never thought about that before. How you worded that, saying that you could take a loan out against it, or you can borrow against it.
Mhm.
I
Oh
never looked
yeah.
at it that way. But that's an interesting piece of advice that you gave. Common financial pitfalls, right? When it comes to now, throughout this whole conversation, yeah, we're talking about individuals and things like that. I wrote it out and I laid it out for the entrepreneur business owner, right? Overestimating revenue and underestimating expenses, and that's a huge one. When I saw that, I said, "Oh man, overestimating revenue and underestimating value." And all of us, let's just be honest. You're a parent, I'm a parent. Parents can attest to this. We all believe that our children are special, and our children are only special to us, right? Let's just be honest. Now, when it comes to your business or whatever service you provide, overestimating revenue is a huge one, because we all want to blow, right? We all believe that we have this idea and it's going to just take over the world, right? But that's when it comes to uh, understanding what you have, right? Failing to account for taxes, and Paul can help y'all out with that. Tax money 1, 2, 3, right? Failing to account for taxes, fees, and unexpected costs, right? Rainy day funds. Uh, Not revisiting and adjusting the budget regularly. How important are those things, Paul?
They're very important. All right. Unexpected expenses happen, man. Right. So again, what's the solution? All right. All right. You for me, I pay myself 30% instead of 10. So out of that 20%, that's emergency funds if I need it.
Ooh,
Okay.
okay.
Right. Oh, but I try not to do that, and I still, if I pay myself 30%, I have 50% for my bills. That leaves me with 20% of things that I just want to buy, right? But that's also
Right.
my emergency funds too. So I'm still stacking my 30, and I have my bills paid with my 50, and now I have 20% for whatever I want to go and travel and all that stuff, which I might have to cut if an emergency
Mm,
comes out. My transmission's blown. Damn. Well, doesn't look like I'm gonna be getting this custom made tailor suit that I
right.
wanted to get for 3 grand. I'm gonna have to buy, a transmission instead. I'll get that next sale. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because don't ever forget, it's all about keeping it going. You got to keep making. You want to keep making your money, right? The whole solution to your problems is making more money, right?
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
about, hey, I got to cut back. I can't, that's a lack of abundance mentality when people are like, oh, I got to cut back. I got to do this. I got to do that. No, you do more,
Make more
get
money.
more. Yeah. What did Hansei say? Work harder,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's what it is about. Is work harder. You see, look. The direct reflection about how much money you make goes back to the sole existence of us being human. Okay?
Say that again.
The direct reflection about how much money you make goes back
Uh
to our
huh.
sole existence of us being human.
Like, yeah, go in on that, Paul. What are you trying to say with that one?
What's the purpose of us as human beings? What is our purpose?
To be fruitful and multiply.
To serve others. That's
Oh.
what we were created here for, is to service. Whether it's to serve God, and within God is each, and within God is within each of us, right?
Right.
If
Right.
you want to
Right.
talk about religious, so we
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
serve everyone, and you have to treat each other as brothers and sisters. But what separates us from all the others, species on this planet, is that us as humans rely on each other for service. Okay, we
Yes.
rely on each other.
Yeah.
Okay, we can't do anything without anybody else. Everything that was invented and created, the things that we use, the computers, the phones, was created by someone else who provided a service to create this, to get this to us. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So depending on how much money that person, that business, that company makes is a reflection on how many people they served. McDonald's served over billions of people across the planet
Yeah, over a billion people served.
with some nasty food. But they helped out a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They served a lot of people. So it's a direct reflection of how many people you serve. You want to make money, you want to work hard, serve more people. And it'll be a direct
Mm.
reflection of how much money you make.
I heard
Okay.
somebody say this. They said, uh, um, they said you don't need. I forgot how they worded it. Well, whatever, man. It's funny you say that because like the answer to the question is you just need more money.
Is
Whatever
it
the
true?
problem is, the answer is you need more money.
Yeah. That's what it is.
But it goes back to what you were saying, dude, about how you were taught. A lot of us were taught how to relate to money. Our relationship with money was taught to us by people who didn't really have the type of relationship with money you need in order to thrive. I forget what this. Maybe I can look that up, bro. But how many first generation millionaires? I think like majority. I forget what the stat is, but like 80 or 90% of like millionaires were first generation. Like in the past, like 5 or 10 years, majority of the millionaires are all first generation. And you can say that's a good thing, or you can look at it like it's a bad thing at the same time. But a lot of people are, like the relationship with money or the outlook of it is changing in a way that hadn't been seen before, which is crazy.
It's all about how you perceive you want your life to be. Some people don't, again, I don't want to be rich. All I want is a little bit of money to pay my bills and all that stuff, right? So then that stops right there. You're not going to be making a million,
Yeah.
right? You're not.
Yeah.
You already shot yourself on the foot. The train just, is telling you guys get off at the next stop. All right. You're not riding the train to that destination. And that doesn't mean that you're less than and that person who has money is better than. No, it's
Yeah.
just different goals. We're all the same here on this planet. And I mean,
Yeah.
not the same because not even, everyone's not the same. I'm not saying that. But as far as the importance, we all have that God in us. We're all, here on the planet. We're all gonna go, to the grave after we're done. You can't take
Yeah.
that money with you. Leave it as inheritance afterwards for to leave a legacy. Um, but it's all about what you want. Some people don't want to leave a legacy. Some people are fine and content with the way you want, and that's fine. But we're talking to people who want something better out of life, and you're gonna have to change your mentality. If you want freedom, you're gonna need
Mm.
money.
Mm.
If you want to be free in this world, you're gonna need money, and that's just the way it is. There's no if, ands, or buts about it. Uh, uh, money isn't everything, but neither is it oxygen. Oxygen isn't everything either. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just be real. You're gonna need it. And that's what a
You
lot of
gonna
people
need
say,
it.
money
Yeah.
isn't everything. It's not everything. Okay, and it's not. Neither is food. Food isn't everything.
Man,
Neither is water.
79% of millionaires are self-made. This is May 8th, 2023.
Do you know why?
79% of millionaires are self-made.
Yeah, there's a reason why. It's because it's not hard to make $1 million. It's not hard to be a million to have a net worth of $1 million. It isn't hard at all. It's just discipline. It's actually easy if you follow, you know, uh, uh, if you follow your plan. If you follow your budgeting, it's easy.
I say 79%. That's a huge percent. That means that's not so much inheritance going around. And that's what I find like interesting.
Not necessarily because you can have wealthy parents and you can still be self-made millionaire.
How is that? Oh, you're saying go out and make your own money?
Yeah, I mean that's what it is.
roughly
It's easy to
80%.
go out there and make your own because you get to determine how much money you want to make, and how much money you're gonna make is a direct correlation to how much people you serve. If you're serving your purpose, and you find demand based off of your purpose, what you like to do, what you're passionate about, that makes it even easier to serve millions of people. Or you don't even need to serve millions of people
To make that.
to make no, you know, 100 people, selling something. If you sell 100, if you sell to 100 people something that's bringing you back $10,000, you sell, that's some good money, and then you invest that money.
Dude, that's some crazy marketing to get 100 people to buy something for
That's
$10,000.
real estate.
Ah, I see what you did there.
You get
Uh,
what I'm saying? You can make $10,000 selling a house, but it's all about hard work now. How much work you gonna put in
yeah,
to sell that high ticket out? There's a lot of high ticket out. There's boats, there's cars,
yeah,
there's homes. Um, there's not, and I'm not saying that. I'm just giving you an example. I'm not saying that,
right,
but
right.
there's so many professions. Being a lawyer, right? Freaking. Just to write out, a company that I'm partners with, just to write have someone, a lawyer, you know mail out to some of the defendants that we're filing a lawsuit to. That was $10,000 just to have him on retainer for
Jeez.
something that only took him like 2-3 days to do.
Wow.
You do
So
that,
you
with a
need
couple of
100
people.
people. Yeah,
Come on now. How
yeah.
many, and that lawyer is probably doing it right after he collect the check. He's hanging up the phone and then doing it again with another person.
Calling somebody else
You
up.
know, it's just now you always want to try to get high ticket items, but
Yeah,
that doesn't necessarily mean that's the case. Even
right.
$50, right? If you're selling something for $50 at a time, but you're selling it to a lot of people a day, right? And on top of that, you selling items for $5, $2, $3 that you're making probably $1 profit, off of.
Yeah,
You can still make millions. I'm just describing a gas station to you, right?
yeah.
You pulling up, you putting $50 in your car. You go ahead and pick up a piece of gum for $2 or something like that, and that gas station is banking,
They
right?
eating
I
off of
mean,
that.
yeah, $50 a person coming in, and it's nonstop, nonstop, nonstop. It's the direct correlation with how many people they're serving.
How many people are you able to service? Um, they said this was uh, now this was 5 years ago. I want to find something that's more recent, and it said roughly 80% of millionaires in America are first generation of their family to be rich. Now, this was 5 years ago. I don't know where it stands now, but
It's just telling you
so
that it's
what?
easy.
What
It's
that?
easy. That's why.
What that? What that says to me too, at the same time, Paul, is that the American dream wasn't really hasn't really become well recently now is becoming readily accessible or attainable, or people are taking advantage of it. I don't know, however you want to look at it, but that's what that tells to me. People weren't out here getting it like that, like the front is. I believe that was a huge front.
No, man, people have always been getting it like that. Even from
You
the
think so?
beginning. Yeah, even from the founding of this country, before this country was, colonialized, um, from Europe and everything. People have always been getting it. It's just about a lot of people's belief on money. There's more people who have a negative belief about money than there is people who have a positive belief about money. And times have been changing, to where people aren't believing the narrative anymore, and they want better for themselves.
You
You
think
know,
that's
uh,
changing?
yeah, it is changing. People want better for themselves, and they're seeing how easy it is to get it just by disciplining and budgeting correctly and following a plan. There's so many different. Uh, uh, there's so much knowledge that's being presented to people nowadays that's allowing a lot of people to have access to the truths about money, um, which contradicts what we have fundamentally been taught.
MacArthur Glaze asked, "What percentage are you investing?"
I said 30% for myself. I put aside 30% to pay myself. I'm investing in myself. I pay myself 30% of my income. Now, the least you should is 10%
At
at
least.
minimum. At
Okay.
minimum.
So what you're saying is the percentage that you're paying yourself, that is going to be your investment. It's not like a percentage you pay yourself and then a percentage of it you invest. You're saying whatever you paying yourself, or do you separate those two? Or can they be
No,
separated, I guess?
they can be, because now out of the 30%, you can divide it into three, into different things, however you want, right?
I
You
got you.
get to play with it. You get to play with it. You might want to invest in different things, because you have
Mm-hmm.
30%, which is a lot. Again, for if you made 100,000 for the year, you put aside 30%. That's 30,000. You can do a
Mm-hmm.
lot with investing in 30,000. You can buy land for
Shoot.
10. You could
Yeah.
do so many different things. 10,000 here, 10,000 there. So yeah, at least 10%, at the least 10%. But the whole point is you're never broke. You're never broke, and you don't have that. You don't have that energy of being broke. You're not going against nature, because nature all around us is showing us that it's about abundance.
About abundance. And at the top of this broadcast, that's what I wanted to try to get across when it came to the relationship with money. You brought up saying that the mindset has to shift. I worded it as our relationship with money has to improve if we ever plan on making it in larger amounts, keeping it in larger amounts, cash flowing in larger amounts, and then the amount that you invest too. So like say, and it all starts with drops, right? So whatever it is that you want to invest in, the return on investment goes into how much you put into it, right? That's anything in life. If you want to take money out of it, if you want to put energy, time, whatever it is you want to put there, however much you're able to invest, that dictates your return on your investment. So if you want to try to get something big in return, then you got to give big. It goes both ways. You can't, unless you was able and fortunate enough to invest into Bitcoin when it was like 10 cents, right? But
Unless you were
unless you were able
mining
to,
it.
yeah, yeah, but if you weren't fortunate to catch something, then but then like you were saying too, uh, winning the lottery, there was a guy that won the lottery. I forget where it was at, but he won the lottery. He ended up buying a home for like $7 million. And I want to say, I could be getting it all wrong, but the taxes on it were like 30,000 a year. And he's like, I can't afford that. Well, you went and bought a $7 million home, right? You thought he was
Yeah.
like he told them, he said, "Oh, I thought that when I bought the home, I was good. I didn't have to pay anything else." Like, no, you got to pay taxes on that home. But a lot of people
So
go out and do these
a
big
house isn't.
purchases.
Yeah, a house is, and that's the truth. I've seen that happen with people plenty of time. They win the lottery. Again, my job, my purpose, my sacred duty is to help people when it comes down to taxes. Don't be afraid
Right.
to make as much money as you can. I'll help you find a solution so that you're gonna be comfortable, and being able to pay the amount of taxes that you need to the right way, of course. And it's just that people aren't knowledgeable about the tax laws and the benefits that come to being an entrepreneur and having business. But yeah, most of the majority of people have the concept that, okay, yeah, I'm gonna invest, I'm gonna buy a house and invest in a house and stuff like that. Homes are liabilities; they're not assets unless it's making you money. Okay.
I say
Um,
that.
Yeah, you have to fix up. You're the landlord. You have to fix up everything. You have taxes, all that stuff. But if it's not making you money, it's not an asset,
No, it's a
right?
liability. Cars are
Yeah, it's a
liabilities,
liability.
man.
Of course, we love them, but they're liabilities. Now, can a house make you money? Yes. Can a car make you money? Yes. It because cars can be assets because it can take you to the place you need to make money, right?
Right.
And so it's cool to be and depending on the type of car you have, that's an advertising expense too, showing people like, hey, I'm pulling up in a Bentley or a Maybach or whatever, or a Lambo,
Yeah.
and that's advertising. So it all depends, but initially, unless you have a tenant in that property, you're really not creating any cash flow. That's what investments are. Investments are cash flow vehicles. You want to be in the green,
Yeah.
okay, with whatever. Um, so you can strategize. I'm not saying don't get don't treat yourself to a house. Um, it would just be ideal for you to have something set up to where you know your investments are paying for your house.
Mm. Every eh,
And you can talk
being
to me. Give me a call. Book a private
yeah.
session. I can show you guys and teach you guys. The way behind it because fortunately for me, the tax business um, helped me venture into the real estate world, so which I'm also an expert in as well. All right, you don't
Right.
have to always, you don't always have to have tens of thousands of dollars to make it, in the real estate game or to invest in real estate, Daniel. You can start small. It doesn't even have to be real estate. It can be things like coins. It can be your Pokemon cards. It could be baseball cards. It could be basketball
Yeah.
cards. Anything that's gonna show you return on what you invested. Okay, so yeah, definitely.
And
To get more in depth on strategies
yeah.
and ways to invest and budgeting, let's book a hit me up, book a session, and I can help you customize what's going on for you because I can still be talking Spanish. Or not Spanish or whatever language, because Spanish is
Yeah.
something everybody usually understands now. Anyway, I could be talking a different language,
Yeah.
alien language that you don't understand when it comes to investment and
Yeah.
budgeting and whatnot. But it would be easier for you to understand when you see all those numbers and you see it written down on paper. Um, you know, for you to retain it, the information.
To help people make it make sense. And I was going to say that before we got out of here. One of the things that pitfalls was ignoring professional advice, you know, and getting that advice, getting that knowledge professional to come in and help you out. That was actually one of the pitfalls that was listed when I was doing my research for this topic. So I'm glad you said that because
Yeah,
you're going to need help with this. Paul Rene is right here for you all. You want to reach out to him, taxmoney123.com. Anything you want to say before we get out of here and I do this outro?
yeah. About the last comment you made. Also, be careful of who you choose to take the advice from, even though they are professionals. There's doctors, there's lawyers, there's mechanics that will steer you the wrong way. You always want to, and when it comes to investment, when it comes to finances, you always want to talk to somebody who can show you better than they can tell you. All right, they should
Yeah.
they should have their ducks in the rows themselves before they go ahead and try to coach you about
They got to
what's
know
going
it.
on.
Because I
Yeah.
mean, let's be honest. If you go to the gym and you trying to hire someone to train and work you out, and they bigger than you, and got rolls on their leg.
Yeah.
I ain't trying to fat shame, but I'm just saying, like, you want your professional trainer, you want your personal trainer to look like he can handle himself or she can handle herself,
Yeah,
you know,
they try to tell you to do push-ups and they can't
and
even
they
do one
can't do.
themselves, right? That's kind of like the martial arts classes, right? That I didn't put my kids in because we do like I've taken my kids to like one of those hey, bring your kid free martial arts class,
Yeah,
and, and one of the first things that I look at when it comes down to martial arts is the instructor. You see some fat instructor trying to teach kids how to do kicks and stuff, and he can't even kick himself. It's like, what are you talking about?
What you doing,
How is
man?
that supposed to work? How are we supposed to, come on, man. But then you
That
have
ain't gotta
guys that are
work.
like 60. You got grandmasters who are 60, 70 years old, and they can freaking kick and do spinning kicks and splits and all that. And you're like, yeah, that's the guy that
That's
I
who I
want my
want.
kids to learn from right there. Yeah, he's had a
Yeah.
lifetime of knowing the martial arts, and it shows. Okay, you
Yeah.
can see it.
You can see it, man. I appreciate it, Paul. Eric, what is going on? I see your comment, man. Thank y'all so much for tuning into another episode of Beyond the Hustle. We will see y'all next week, Tuesday, right here at 9:30 p.m. Happy Thanksgiving. Y'all eat a lot. You know, Paul, you gonna eat a lot this Thanksgiving, bro?
Oh yeah, man, I am. We have a family over. It's gonna be good times, man. It's good
Yeah.
times. I love
Yeah.
getting the family together. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I appreciate y'all for tuning
it's
in. Hey,
always
listen.
good when the family gets together for good reasons and for bad reasons. So,
Yeah, that's always
definitely.
dope. Make sure y'all reach out to taxmoney123.com. Taxes are right around the corner. Y'all want to hit him up. Let him know that you saw him on Beyond the Hustle. And listen, if you want production help, you can holler at me, tatomyproductions.com. I can help you do something like this. All right, y'all. We will see y'all back here next week, Tuesday. If you want to be a guest or if you want to partner with us, reach out to us, let us know, and we will get back to you. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye.